Good evening, America. Hello, Chicago. And what's up, West Side? This is P. Ray of Black Excellence Hour, a show for people with high self esteem. You could have been doing anything on this kind of nippy Sunday afternoon, and you chose to come hang out with me today at Black Excellence Hour. And for that, as always, I appreciate the company. If you are watching live on the Facebook page, and that is the Black Excellence Hours Facebook page, or the Intellectual Radio YouTube page, be sure to share the live. Share the live. Today, we are talking about the rallies. Oh my God. Have y'all been watching them? My Donnie is doing his thing. Y'all, we are winning. At first, again, everybody thought that we were crazy and that this was not going to work and Chicago never was going to go red and people would not even have an ear or an idea to ever think about anything with Donald Trump or about Fioretti or going red. And guess what? It is working, it is popping, and it is reverberating all around the country. So we're going to talk about that today and how we know for a fact that all eyes are on Chicago at this very moment. But before we do that, we're going to go and get our dose of self-esteem from the man with the plan, who is the one who invited P. Ray to the White House just to go to a party. It was just a black folks party that I found out about on the internet. And I'm like, let me go check out and see what these people are talking about. And that, friends, was the Young Black Leadership Summit that Mr. President Donald Trump held at the White House. It was the first and only time in U.S. history that a U.S. president hosted young black people at the White House, and I was there. I heard him say this in person. Roll tape.
Americans built this nation. You built this nation. You know, you're just starting to get real credit for that. Okay, I don't know if you know that. You're just starting to get, you built the nation. We all built it, but you were such a massive part of it. Bigger than you were given credit for. Does that make sense? Right? But through generations of blood, sweat, and tears, and you deserve a government that defends your interests, protects your families, and cares for our own citizens first. My administration is fighting with everyone and all our heart to reverse the pain inflicted by Democrat leaders and to deliver hope and opportunity and prosperity for all Americans, but for African-American communities all throughout our land. Our agenda is lifting up citizens of every background, race, religion, color, and creed. But while we are fighting every day to build up our nation, the far left only wants to wreck, ruin, and destroy our nation.
All right. That was Mr. Donald John Trump Sr., the man who had the party and brought P. Ray to the MAGA country. And P. Ray brought all that energy back to the city. And check us out. Before we go any further, my organization, Chicago Red, we are an organization that meets every Thursday night on the west side of Chicago on Augusta and Menard. We've been hanging out together for a couple of months now, and we have done amazing things when it comes to the political landscape here in the city of Chicago. We've hosted rallies, we've taken people to Trump rallies, we're pushing the information, we're speaking in national media. Our goal is to make sure that the entire country knows that Chicago is being emancipated from the culture of progressive liberal failure that's bankrupting the city and leaving Americans behind. So we produced the commercial. I'm going to play this commercial, and I'm also going to drop it on the Black Excellence Hours page. Be sure to share our commercial, y'all. We worked very hard on this. Roll tape.
Remember you.
She put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
You want black men to stand behind you, Kamala? You didn't even do it when you was an attorney general. You can ask Jamal Truelove.
Donald Trump tackled criminal justice reform by signing the First Step Act, a bipartisan bill that let black men out of jail early. So while you was locking us up, he was setting us free.
We are not going back.
Yeah, Kamala, we're not going back.
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 We not going back to jail.
Check that out. Chicago Red in the
Peace,
building.
family. My name is Vicky Dillard for African
Let's
Diaspora
make
News
her
Channel.
stop. Not her. Shout out to Vicky Dillard. Nothing against her. But yes, that was the commercial for Chicago Red that is going to be everywhere this week. The goal is to get the message that while they're saying we are not going back, Black men are saying, and we are not going back to jail. And Black women should be saying it too, because when she was locking up parents for truancy, the majority of those parents were mothers, okay? Black mothers. And when she locked them up, they went homeless. Some people lost their children. It was a hot mess, but that's what she did. Now, because Chicago Red is garnering so much attention nationally, sometimes we get invited to do national news. And I got invited on Friday to go on Fox Business on the evening edition. So I'm going to play the interview that I did on Friday. This was absolutely amazing. Shout out to all the good people at Fox News. They really appreciate P-Ray. And then I'm like, thank y'all for loving me, because America needs to know directly from Chicagoans what's going on in Chicago, so that the rest of the world does not think that we're idiots because we keep going along with this. We're not comfortable either. Roll tape.
The too many folks here in Georgia and across the country are struggling to pay the bills. We all know the price of everything from housing to healthcare to groceries is still too high.
Okay, former President Barack Obama made a major blunder and a gaffe campaigning for Kamala Harris, saying, yes, Americans nationwide are suffering from record high inflation under Biden-Harris. That has not come down. They have not fixed it. Trump is set to debut his new line this Sunday, Harris broke America, at his rally at Madison Square Garden. Let's bring back an evening edit favorite, Chicago voter, P-Ray Easley. P-Ray, we love to hear from you. When people see you, they sit up and take notice. What do you make of Obama here? Why didn't he speak out before about inflation still sticking way high under Biden and Harris? What do you think?
Right now, he's in cleanup mode. They have sent him out to jive with the tribe. That's why he has his accent going. And he just wants to come out and make people feel the nostalgia of how they felt during his initial campaign. And that time is over. We're done with that. They're just entertaining America at this point.
Okay, you know, we caught too that Obama also said healthcare is still too high. After Obamacare, hospitals and doctors and nurses say that swamped them in red tape. This is after Bill Clinton and Joe Biden also blundered, telling the truth. P-Ray, just sit and listen to this. Watch.
You had a case in Georgia not very long ago, didn't you? They made an ad about a young woman who'd been killed by an immigrant. Yeah, well, if they'd all been properly vetted, that probably wouldn't have happened. But if they're all properly vetted and that doesn't happen, we got to lock him up.
Oh, really? Lock him up. Did you catch that, P-Ray? So Joe Biden said the quiet part out loud, lock up in jail Donald Trump. That's what they've been trying to do. When you heard these blunders, Bill Clinton saying they're coming across unvetted, Obama saying inflation is still too high under Biden and Harris, Joe Biden saying lock up Trump, which is what he says they've been trying to do for years. How do voters react to all this?
We look at it as if this is a vendetta against the president and they're not working for the American people. They know exactly what's going on. They know that inflation is high. They know that healthcare is too expensive. They know that we have unvetted people coming across the border. But rather than solve those problems, their issue is maintaining power. Their issue is that they know that President Trump is the clear winner here. And their goal is to mentally trick and deceive the people into voting for them, again, in an emotional sense. But being hungry is emotional. Not being able to pay your bills is emotional. Yeah. Being afraid that your children may not come home. Those things are emotional. And so their desires to trick us are kind of overshadowed by our reality. And the reality is that the Harris-Biden administration is not working, and we do not want to continue this with the Harris-Walz administration.
Yeah, we keep hearing from voters like you, the far left version of this Democrat Party, way out of touch, tone deaf with the American people. Axios reports more and more top Democrats are afraid Trump will win. Trump is now tied with Harris in the final New York Times Siena poll before this election. You know, P. Ray, it's so interesting. By this point, Biden was up about 9 points. Hillary was up about 4 points in 2016. It looks like the polls are underestimating working and middle-class voters who really don't like to talk to both pollsters. P. Ray, sit tight. Listen to CNN polling analyst Harry Enton. Watch this.
Trump may win the popular vote, John. You know, everyone has been talking about this idea that Trump may win in the Electoral College, but Kamala Harris may win the popular vote. You mentioned that New York Times poll, a tie. That's actually right in the middle of the spectrum when we're talking about recent polling data. You don't have to look very far to find Donald Trump ahead nationally. He was up by 2 points in the CNBC poll, up by 3 in the Wall Street Journal poll. Very close races within the margin of error. Fact is, Donald Trump is very much in a position he could win the popular vote, which, of course, is something he would absolutely love to do.
P. Ray, win the popular vote. Take it away, P. Ray. Final word.
Donald Trump has already won. I want everybody to know that from sea to shining sea, that the American people are ready to put ourselves first. We don't have money, time, or energy to dedicate to this open border and the chaos that the Biden-Harris administration has pushed upon us. I invite everybody in America to join Chicago as we flip this country red and bring Donald Trump back to his proper place, which is 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. I also want to invite the president to please come to Chicago like you promised us. You are going to have the biggest party of your life if you come here, and please continue to support us at chicagored.org, because the work that we're doing here in Chicago is reverberating around the country as we make our country great again.
Okay.
God bless America.
P. Ray Easley there. Thank you so much. Good to see you again.
If you're a real estate
All right,
investor,
so that was P. Ray on Fox News. That's actually one of the longest segments I've ever gotten. I'm looking at that. That's like 5 minutes. Usually they give me like 2, but this lady was really digging P. Ray, and I am really digging her. So shout out to the evening edition staff at Fox Business. See, what's interesting about them bringing me on Fox Business is that the people who are watching that are typically more wealthy people, more educated people, because they're talking about like stocks and finance and all that kind of stuff. But the people within these business, corporate, high level worlds, they want to know what we're talking about on the ground in Black Chicago, because we control national culture, y'all. We are the most powerful people on the planet, Black Chicago, because we got our own swag that everybody else tries to get a piece of, and then everybody else tries to get a piece of that swag, and so on and so forth. But it starts right here on the shores of Lake Michigan. So shout out again to everybody that's doing the work. Even if you are a secret supporter and you just share our stuff, just know that it is getting us where we need to be. Because right now in the city of Chicago, we need the federal government to come help, which leads me to the next point of Lil Durk. Lord have mercy. So for those who are not familiar with Durk Devontae Banks Jr., Lil Durk, he's a rapper from the south side of Chicago, and he has a rap group called OTF, On the Family. And On the Family, on its surface, is a music, fashion, hip-hop collective. But underneath, they commit very heinous and violent crimes. They kill people, they shoot people. They kill people, they shoot people, like what's his name? FBJ Duck or FGB Duck. There we go. FGB Duck. They shot him in broad daylight on Oak Street, okay? And they just went to jail for it. And now his mother is now suing Lil Durk and a whole bunch of other people for her son's murder. But I digress. So Lil Durk had a comrade named King Von, who was also from 63rd and King Drive. And King Von was an actual serial killer. What he would do is he would go and he would make hits for people with money, and then he would just kill people on his own as well. He actually coined the phrase smoking Tuka, because Tuka was a girl who was also a killer. And they said that after they killed her, her ashes were put on their blunts, and then they smoked her as an act of final disrespect. So when you hear people saying, I'm gonna put you in that Tuka pack or we gonna roll you up, that's what they are talking about. But again, I digress. So they have this, oh, only the family. Thank you, Javier. You are keeping me so relevant. I know, but I'm kind of like an old lady in this because I really don't know, but it's relevant. I digress. So King Von gets killed by a man affiliated with this man named Rondo Quando. So then people start telling Lil Durk online, you not gonna slide for your friend? You gonna let them kill your friend? You gonna let them get away with that? You say you a killer, y'all these killers, you need to do this or that. Well, Lil Durk was quietly getting together with other people from their music cooperative, Wink, and he paid them to go to California to kill Quando Rondo. But when they got there, they missed and they hit Quando Rondo's cousin, Lil Bub. And so now they are being charged with a plethora of crimes because the way that they got caught is that they used a credit card in their own name to rent the rental cars that they used to commit the drive-by killing. I blame the Chicago public schools for this, y'all, because that took absolutely no critical thinking skills. That's what they wanted to do, and that's how they got caught. But I can go on and on. The fact of the matter is, Lil Durk also got arrested in this sweep. He got arrested for a murder for hire plot. Now, this leads me back to a point that I made. I don't know if I made this point last week, but I said this on social media. There are pictures going around of Lil Durk in this Arab attire saying that he was going to convert himself and become a Muslim. Well, when I was looking at that as the co-founder of Iqra Bilingual Academy, West Africa's first and only bilingual international Islamic school accredited with the U.S. accreditation, we got 1,000 students from 35 nationalities. So I know what I'm looking at and I know what I'm talking about. When I was looking at the pictures of Lil Durk and his friends dressed up as Muslims, I said, that's not Islam. That is Arab culture. And if they're pushing this Arab culture on our warrior class, then their goal could be to radicalize these boys in order to get them to commit crimes because they're already committing crimes. But now you've gotten to them on a spiritual and emotional level, and you're telling them that they're committing these crimes in the name of the religion when it's actually to advance your own social political goals. This happens all over the world, y'all. I'm telling you, this is what they do, not Muslim people, but the people who have these jihadist, extremist goals. So I can kind of see this happening through what Lil Durk was going through. I digress because, again, that's not what I'm here to talk about either. So Lil Durk goes through this public transformation, and then he's kicking it with all of these politicians: Mayor Lightfoot, Mayor Johnson, Kim Fox, who is supposed to be locking him up. See, look, somebody said Tuka was a guy. The girl was Key. Sorry, Quinn got me all wrong. So Smoking Tuka is a dude. Tuka is a dude. Key is the girl, but Lil King Von killed Key. I thank you, Quentin, for clearing that up because I want to get all their business straight. And I don't lie on this mic. Let's go back. So Lil Durk is kicking it with all these politicians. They're saying that he got this thing. He got this song with J. Cole, the little light-skinned dude from North Carolina. All my life, all this kind of stuff. They just think that he is a new person. Well, he was not, friends, okay? The Cook County courts were not going to give us any justice from the terrorism that Lil Durk and those boys were committing. So the federal government had to come in and give us justice. Now, what does this have to do with Chicago right now? Because Mayor Johnson got a $150,000 campaign donation from Lil Durk. At one point, he was the third highest contributor to his campaign. So he gave him a lot of money. And this is what Mayor Johnson had to say when they asked him about his affiliation with Lil Durk. Now, before I play this, I also want to make it clear that Lil Durk last weekend just got the key to Broadview and Bellwood. And I'm like, how? All these people out here doing all this work and y'all give it to Robin Stilling killing Lil Durk because he put on a boo-boo. And a boo-boo is what they're called, those tunics. It's called a boo-boo. So he puts on a boo-boo and a scarf, and now he's a new person. But I digress because I'm not here to judge. I'm only here to give the facts. Roll tape.
and has not been charged with anything, has not been convicted of anything. And so if you're asking me if I should make a judgment on a Black man before a full trial has actually come to fruition, I hope you do understand why it is not my position to determine the outcome of someone's life.
All right. So Brandon said that he has nothing to say about it. He's going to keep the money and he's going to wait until the conviction comes down. That is Brandon's business. Now, I do see someone in the comments, Bryant Gallimore. He said that first they're teaming up with the Venezuelans. Now they're teaming with the Arabs. This is not our West Side business. The reason that this is not just West Side business or South Side business, but city business is because geopolitical issues are starting to literally leak into the social fabric of Black Chicago. And that's because we're so exposed due to the trauma and neglect that we've received by the Democratic Party that now anybody can walk in and do anything with us. To Bryant's point, there's a video also going around social media right now where some gentlemen on the South Side of Chicago said that the BDs have linked up with the Venezuelans. And so the Venezuelans are now VDs that they call V-News. And those guys have now militarized in their own street way the Venezuelan population on the South Side. So they're going to be using these Venezuelans to fight other Black people, and they're calling them crash outs. So yes, all of this stuff is happening on a geopolitical level on the South Side of Chicago. And to Brian's point, West Side people keep our business to ourselves. We are a little tribe. South Side people sometimes say that we are a cult because we stick together so hard and just mind our own West Side business. So shout out to Brian. And if you want to join this conversation, you definitely can. 773-345-9977. I actually have 2 callers in queue at the moment. Let's take the first one before we get to my Donnie. Welcome to Black Excellence Hour.
Hi, D-Ray. This is Dennis.
Hey, Dennis.
Yeah, D-Ray, I don't know this guy, whoever his name is and stuff. However, we really need to focus on defending ourselves now. Because if the Venezuela is forming up with these BDs, people like you and myself and our children and our children's children are going to be in a world of trouble.
I totally agree because they are not from here. They have no emotional tie to us at all.
Yeah, and for somebody like Brandon Johnson, who always using the black man word salad game, if that was his kid, he would go knee deep and will seek vengeance if somebody do harm to his kids or his family. I hate to drag that in, but it's like he don't care about the voters. He cares about the Venezuelans and CTU. And those are 2 things he cares about. So here's the thing. November 5th is coming up. And once we get Trump into office, it's time for us to focus on the state and local level now. Because we had enough of the Democratic chaos. We're tired of the crime. We're tired of these unnecessary taxes. We're just tired of everything what's going on and stuff. Now, we got to deal with more problems that's already coming to exist. Number 1, ShotSpotter. It's not going to put ShotSpotter back up at all. He's not going to do it. So that's the reality we need to do, or else we're going to have to pull a class action lawsuit, or else we're going to have to administrate it. Number 2 is that when Trump gets in office, there should be an indictment or an audit against Brandon Johnson on how he's mismanaging the campaign funds and the taxpayers and stuff, because our money is going to the wrong place right now. And then, most importantly, you know what I'm going to say. We need to arm ourselves and protect our own self, because if Brandon Johnson got a stranglehold on the police, then it's time for us to basically be our own vigilante.
Well, we might have to, because they said that the police department, they are purging officers right now. The officers are quitting so much, and the young officers are being arrested and or killed at an alarming rate. So the police department, is on its last leg as well.
Yeah, it is. Now, after ShotSpotter, we had over 152 shootings that's been going on. And October is not even over with. So we don't know how many more shooting incidents that's going on right now to this very day. And this is going to fall into November. So, T-Ray, here's the thing. We got to stop voting for these Democrats, period.
Agreed.
Put some Republicans in the city. We need to put some Republicans in the city hall and stuff. We need to put some Republicans in the state house and senate, because these legislatures, they be passing up, and J.D. Prescott keep on approving. It's like they just like going open hunting season on the law-abiding citizens.
It's pretty wild. Like I said, I'm just one lady who reports the news with a keen interest in geopolitical affairs. So when I'm reading this stuff and I'm watching this war footage at night and all these people give these crazy speeches and all kind of stuff, I think, wait a minute, they might be trying to do this in Chicago. Wait a minute, they are doing this in Chicago. And the policies of the Democratic Party has allowed the political and social capital of Black Chicago to be exploited by every corner of the world. It's like they hate us and they doing it on purpose.
Okay, so I would like to address something to you and those who, the listener and the people who are gun owners. Buy you as many bullets as you can. Load them up. Put them in the chamber. Make sure either you send them at them or one in the head, two in the chest. Because now it's time for the funeral home to be in business. And we're going to have to put these criminals and these Venezuelan gang members where they belong. Dead and in hell.
Wow. All right. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
773-345-9977. Black Excellence Hour does not endorse violence, but I do endorse standing up for yourself. Let's get back to the callers. Welcome to Black Excellence Hour.
Well,
Recall Brandon.
Yep. And today's trivia question on WVN was, who is Jamal Truelove? I mentioned his name. I said, write it down, Jamal Truelove, because he was one of the guys that was featured on your very good ad you guys just published. And also, I'd heard about him before. He's run other videos talking about how Kamala Harris, hid evidence from him and things like this, or hid evidence from his case or about his case that would have exonerated him earlier and things like this. And he talked about during his sentence, she was almost like laughing at his sentence. So it was a very good thing you guys put out and what he did before. So I dropped a dime today on VON because they're all crowing about Trump and all this other garbage. And just like the previous caller said, you said, these people are coming in, the gangs are infiltrating places in Madison or in Manhattan in New York. They're training these recruiting these 11, 12-year-old kids to do crimes and stuff, knowing they're not going to get prosecuted when they get caught.
Exactly. And now the Venezuelans have that same immunity. The police aren't arresting them. So now people can use them to commit crimes too.
Well, it's becoming a big issue, and it's really sad. And maybe it's just a core of the people that call on the radio and VON, but it's like I'd say maybe 75% of the people, like Cliff and everybody else, they're all kind of nuts about this stuff. And there's quite a few people that are actually calling and say, hey, we've been having these people, they've been in charge for all these years, and what are they doing for us? So I think there's a lot of sentiment also against the current regime. So we'll see what happens on election day. But I hope a lot of people come out and vote. I'm seeing a lot of good positive signs. I mean, I'm seeing more Trump signs now in Elgin than I ever have before as far as Republican candidates. And I had a brother yesterday beat his horn and rolled out his window and thumbs up. I like your plate, man. I really voted the first day I voted for Trump. And he said he lives in Chicago, her brother. So I'm getting a lot of, I'm having some good positive feelings. Danny Bongino is also reporting a lot of good things. In fact, actually, Trump tonight is in Madison Square Garden. Gary French is there with his wife, and Janelle is there, and these people are publishing all these photos. In fact, I was watching it, and I paused it so I could call into this most important radio show too.
Oh, thank you.
But Trump is his. When you get done, watch the whole thing in Madison Square Garden. It's just phenomenal.
All right, thank you.
All the things he's talking about, So good job.
Thank you, and thank you for keeping us relevant.
Well, it's an important thing to do.
773-345-9977 773-345-9977. I'm trying to get tickets to go to the Milwaukee rally, which is going to be next Friday. So we'll see what we can get from that. If you want a Trump sign, hit me up and I can get you one. We got plenty. I got you one. Yeah, we got plenty of Trump signs. I actually met a police officer on Saturday, and I told him who I was, and he's like, "Oh my God, it's you! I've been wanting to meet you." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Bring me a sign to the station." So I'm like, "I got you. I'm gonna bring you a sign to the station." So if you want some Trump signs, let me know, and I will get you some because we gotta let the people know we are out here. Also, all this week, if you got a Trump hat, button, T-shirt, bumper sticker, whatever you got to wear your MAGA stuff this week, okay, y'all? We are in the home stretch. Put your MAGA gear on, and you're gonna get so much love. We gotta keep this energy moving in the society. Put your MAGA swag on this week. You gotta wear it, please, 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 please. Moving on, which gets me to our next point or the next portion of this show. My Donnie went on Joe Rogan this past week, and this interview is the fourth most watched video on YouTube of all time. And Joe Rogan is a podcaster who has a very large following. My Donnie went on there. He spoke to the man for 3 hours straight. No water, no bathroom, no napping, no nothing. So there are little portions of this interview that I want to give to you. The first one is a lesson on how to build a personal brand that stands out. So the reason that Black Excellence Hour is popping so hard is because we talk about what we want to talk about. We don't get caught up in the boxes of the progressive, performative parroting that they like to do. Instead, we say what we want to say. We say the truth and we say it out loud. My Donnie spoke to this, and so did Joe. Let's listen to this. Roll tape.
So I always got more publicity than other people. And it wasn't like I was trying. In fact, I don't know exactly why. Maybe you can tell me why.
Oh, I could definitely tell you. You said a lot of wild shit.
Maybe. Maybe
you said a lot of wild shit, and then CNN, in all their brilliance, by highlighting your wild shit, made you much more popular.
Yeah.
And they boosted you in the polls because people were tired of someone talking in this bullshit pre-prepared politician lingo. And even if they didn't agree with you, they at least knew whoever that guy is, that's him. That's really him. Yeah. When you see certain people talk, certain people in the public eye, you don't know who they are. You have no idea who they are. It's very difficult to know. You see them in conversations. They have these pre-planned answers. They say everything. It's very rehearsed. You never get to the meat of it. One of the beautiful things about you is that you freeball. Like, you get out and you do these huge events and you're just talking and you're making. We've highlighted you on the show many times when you did this Biden impression where he's walking around, he doesn't know what he's doing. It's funny. It's stand up. It's funny stuff. But it's like you and you're making fun of Elon one time. You were doing an Elon impression. It's great. You have like comedic instincts. Like when you said to Hillary, "You'd be in jail." Like that's great timing.
Yeah.
But it's like that kind of stuff was unheard of as a politician. Like no one had done that. And I think
it's funny. You need at least the attitude of a comedian when you're doing this business.
Don't wake
All right.
up.
So
in the-
that was the first portion. So my Donnie stands out because he has the attitude of a comedian, but he's dead serious on what he's talking about. And he talked about a couple of serious things. The first one that I want to share with you all is when he talked about how he had to pull up in the Middle East because the people in his administration were playing with him and they were lying to him. So he said, you know what? I'm not going to go for this. I'm going to pull up on you and I'm going to see if you're telling the truth or not. And the reason that I enjoy that is because I too am a pull up on you kind of person. So I'm like, yes, I get it. You got to go see for yourself if you're going to be a good and proper leader. Roll tape.
About 1 minute, sir. And I'm telling you, Joe, there's always a light. There's not a little pin. And all of a sudden, psh, and you hear, blah, blah, perfect landing like glass. That's how good. I mean, these guys, between the equipment and it's genius. It's pure. It was so dark, you couldn't see a thing. There was no runway. You wouldn't know where the hell you're. You're in the middle of a desert. And then I got out of the plane. I said, thank you, Captain. That's a great job. And then I got out of the plane and I'm going down and I see a general and another general. And I see a staff sergeant, a drill sergeant, and a various guys, all central casting. Central casting. They said, sir, would you like to rest? I said, I don't want to rest. I want to figure out what the hell are we doing with ISIS. I'm hearing we can't, it's going to take years. No, sir, we can do it very quickly, sir. And anyway, we go into the room. Biden would have taken a nap for 4 days and then left without a meeting. So we go into the room and they have these guys. I say, how long can you do it? How long? We can do it in a couple of weeks, sir. I said, wait a minute. They told me 5 years. We can do it in, I don't know, he gave me a number just in no time. I said, why haven't you done it? Because the orders came in from Washington, sir, and they would come here and tell us what to do. Don't you challenge us? We're not allowed to do that, sir. That's not the military way. They tell us what to do, and we have to respect them.
Do you think that it was incompetence why they didn't go after ISIS?
I think it's a bad system. When Mattis goes there or when Milley goes there, who's stupid, and they tell these guys that are actually smart what to do, and the guys that are smart are saying, we don't like what they're doing, but they're not allowed to sort of counteract. Plus, the guys that went there are arrogant. They're arrogant fools. They're like stupid fools. The way they pulled out of, the way they, as an example, the way they pulled out of Afghanistan with the people falling off the planes. It was worse than Vietnam with the helicopters falling. It was so bad. There was no reason for it. Anyway, so we knocked them out. And we have great military. We have great people. So I did McDonald's last
what happened
week.
is, let me stop this one. So they told him that it was going to take us 5 years to defeat ISIS, and ISIS was going to be the next industrial military complex or military industrial complex money grab. My Donnie said, nope, we're not doing that. I'm about to go pull up on y'all because I don't think that this should take us 5 years. And then he went over there and trumped literally on top of all of their commanders and said, do whatever you need to do to get this solved in 5 weeks. And they were very successful. And now ISIS has been pretty much eradicated, and we are not losing American soldiers or tax dollars dealing with them right now. Moving on. This was another good portion of the interview where Mr. Rogan asked President Trump about the how he felt that the election was stolen and laptop from hell. Now, I'm bringing up laptop from hell, y'all, because Black Excellence Hour has been talking about laptop for hell for 2 years. 2 years. And then at first they were saying, oh, that is Russian misinformation. P. Ray, you ought to be ashamed of yourself for trying to trick Black people like this. And I'm like, no, this is real, guys. Laptop from hell is real. Joe Biden and his son got us into Ukraine because of Burisma oil and gas. And y'all, we are spending billions upon billions upon billions of dollars because Hunter Biden was on the board of Burisma Oil and Gas, who controlled the pipelines that went from Russia through Ukraine. They were going to get rental fees and toll fees for the gas going through. However, the Russians made a deal with the Germans and they pulled the pipelines through the sea, and then mysteriously they got blown up, and now we're fighting this Ukrainian war. This is all because of laptop, or we knew that this was all going down because of laptop from hell. So let's listen to the president discuss this very, very quickly. Roll tape.
I want to talk about 2020 because you said over and over that you were robbed in 2020.
Yeah, totally.
How do you think you were robbed? Everybody always cuts you off. I'm going to
They
allow.
do. Well, they not only cut you off. Well, what I'd rather do is we'll do it another time, and I would bring in papers that you would not believe. So many different papers. That election was so crooked. It was the most crooked election.
Okay, but give me some examples of how.
Well, let's start on
Okay.
the top and the easy ones.
Okay.
They were supposed to get legislative approval to do the things they did, and they didn't get it. In many cases, they didn't get it.
What things?
Anything. When they
Legislative
made,
approval
like
of-
for extensions of the voting, for voting earlier, for this,
Right.
all different things. By law, they had to get legislative approvals. You don't have to go any further than that. If you take a look at Wisconsin, they virtually admitted that the election was rigged, robbed, and stolen. They wouldn't give access in certain areas to the ballots because the ballots weren't signed. They weren't originals. We could go into this stuff. We could go into the ballots, or we could go into the overall. I'll give you another one.
Are you going to present
Well,
this
let me-
ever? Like, what do you think? Like,
Let me just give you one
Okay,
more
go ahead.
before. 51 intelligence agents come up that the laptop was from Russia. It turned out to be totally false. It
51
wasn't.
former intelligence agents, right?
They say that made, I don't believe it's this much, but it doesn't have to. I lost by I didn't lose, but they say I lost, Joe, they say I lost by 22,000 votes. That's like 1/10 of 1%, less than that. It's a tiny little thing. 22,000 votes spread over this period. So 51 intelligence agents lied. They lied. They knew it was. It was Hunter's. It was from his bed. It was Hunter's laptop. They said it was created by Russia. Russia. It was the Russia hoax.
So he's saying that he knows that number one, that the election was stolen, which is why we gotta open our eyes very wide this time and make sure that, again, we are not supporting Kamala. Lord have mercy. We are not. Do y'all hear me? We're not doing it. And the reason that we're not going to do it is because of her daddy. Now, her daddy, Donald Harris, is alive and well, y'all. Donald Harris is alive and well. He lives in the DC area, and he is emeritus professor at Stanford University. Well, in 1988, he co-authored a treatise called Black Economic Progress, an Agenda for the 1990s. Now, this was, wild for the time. He wrote, trends in international trade have moved against the U.S. worker. U.S. immigration laws have been modified in ways that increase the influx of low-skilled workers who compete with native-born youth and low-skilled adult workers for low-skilled jobs. This shift has been a particularly serious problem for Blacks, who constitute a high proportion of the low-skilled adult workers. So if her daddy wrote a book about how immigration hurts Black people and Black jobs, he literally said again, this shift has been a particularly serious problem for Blacks, who constitute a high proportion of the low-skilled adult workers. So we know who the Black jobs belong to. We know the Black people who work them. And her father, who is an economist, who lives 2 miles away from his daughter in Washington, D.C. right now at the age of 86 years old, he said that immigration hurts us. And we know that she knows that immigration hurts us because she didn't have to get this from anybody but her daddy. And he wrote this in the 80s in Washington, D.C. when she was there going to Howard. So I'm positive that he discussed this with her multiple times in their conversations. And to have her pretend to be a Black woman while pushing these very, very, very harmful Negrophobic policies that hurt Black wealth is asinine. And I believe this is why this Jamaican mulatto man has not stepped out to say that he is a Black man and he is her father to back her up on her claim of Blackness. He wants absolutely nothing to do with her. Now, it's very important to realize that her father published this book 2 years after Ronald Reagan signed the 1986 immigrant amnesty law. And so this was typical or not typical of his far left thinking on immigration. Typically, the people on the left believe that, borders should be open. But this Jamaican mulatto Black man who had been living in the country at that point for almost 30 years said, this is a huge issue and we cannot have this. Also, Bernie Sanders said in 2015 that mass migration would make everybody in America poorer. So we have people on the left who definitely believe this. However, Vice President Harris has supported granting illegal aliens a pathway to citizenship, and she continues to make that a pillar of her platform, which is why we are saying no, 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 no. Now, we also have to remember on the first day of their administration, that's her and Jim Crow Joe, they introduced legislation that would have granted, it was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021, and that would have granted legal status to millions of illegals currently living in the United States of America. However, that got shot down because Congress knows that if they were to do that, that would only exacerbate inequities by driving down wages and creating competition amongst already low people at the bottom. Again, this is who Kamala is. Kamala is going to have us in the war because she can't stand up to these Arab and Asian leaders. She is going to have us paying all of our money to take care of the illegals because they are not making money. And so the tax dollars definitely need to keep their lights, gas, and heat on. So we definitely know that she's going to use our money in that way. And we just know that she's not going to be a good person. She's actually going to lead us into World War III, which is why I am going to end today's show with this last clip of my Donnie. And this is where he was speaking. Not yet. Where he's speaking in Pennsylvania, and he talks about war. Remember, we are in the middle of World War III, and Jim Crow Joe and Kamala have gotten us into a whole bunch of mess, which means that a whole bunch of boys could be on their way to a carrier or a boat or a plane with guns in their hands near you, and ain't nobody got time for that. Listen to my Donnie. Roll tape.
We had peace through strength. It was a great thing, peace through strength, and that's it. You don't have to send your kids out to war, have your kid blown up for a country that you've never heard of and that doesn't want anything to do with you anyway. But I will not send you to fight and die in a foolish, never-ending foreign war. I'll get you out of the wokeness, and your schools will be great again. Your schools are going to be great. We had peace through strength.
Okay, so you heard my Donnie say that he is not going to send your sons to war. He's going to make schools great again. He's going to bring peace and kindness and calmness back to the world. We got people overseas. We had the Muslims who supported him, Muslims for Trump, and they said that they wanted him because he was going to bring back world peace. Everybody knows that Donald Trump is going to bring world peace, which is why I want to leave you with next Sunday, we are going to do another Trump rally. We're doing another Trump rally, this time at Millennium Park from 2 to 5 p.m. We're going to be on Randolph in Michigan, right there at the Wrigley Coliseum or Wrigley Arena, but it's where that little staging area is. We are having a MAGA rally in downtown Chicago next Sunday. Pull up on us. We got signs, we got swag, we got food, we got it all. Just pull up and show your love for your country, show your love for yourself, because remember, y'all, we at home. So anything that goes or does not go in this country means that it has to go through us first. And if we don't stand up for ourselves, they are going to take everything away from us. I think the music is about to come on, which means that we are at the end of the show. And I appreciate y'all once again for standing with me today on Black Excellence Hour. Know that we are winning, y'all. We are winning huge. Do not be afraid. Put your MAGA gear on this week and come out to the rally downtown. Nobody has any excuses. It's right in the middle of the city. Catch a bus, a train, a plane, and pull up. Show your MAGA love. Show who you are. Know that, again, don't feel dismayed, y'all. We got a choice, and we are choosing to walk away from the perversion of the Democratic Party. Those are confused people, and we are straight-minded. We are clear. We know what our goal is, and y'all, it's time to march on and win. This is B Ray of Black Excellence Hour, a show for people with high self-esteem. I appreciate the company every week, and MAGA baby, Chicago is MAGA country. Tell 3 people. Mwah. Ciao. See y'all in a little bit.